So today I figured I'd go over my trip. So last summer we went on a family trip. Went to Bar Harbor is where I went on a family summer trip. Last year, it was 2024. And I know now it's summer, you kind of think about these things like, oh, where do you want to go on vacation? Usually you think that, especially when you're like young in your school. It's like you want to take a vacation, take a trip. Okay, so I have my stuff here. I'm going to kind of review the trip. You could say rate it. You could say I'm just going to go over it, right? I'm going to have a story about it. The things, what we did, and then after that, I'm going to relate it to my Nuggets Wisdom theme. All right, so let's get into it. So first off, we started off the trip where we live in Maine, and it was pretty early, I'd say. It was a couple-day trip. The trip we went on, it was Tuesday, August 13th, and it went all the way through Thursday, August 15th. It wasn't that long, but it was a nice kind of break. Of course, I had a list of things I wanted to do, and we did do. We stopped in Belfast, in Maine, and had lunch. I think it was at McDonald's parking lot, funnily enough. And then we went to stop in Bucksport. Now, in Bucksport, if I'm saying it right, and we actually stopped at the Penobscot Narrows Bridge and Observatory. Now, there'll be pictures on the screen, hopefully, about this. It was actually kind of a very tall bridge over this river, the Penobscot Narrows. So, and it's high up. It's funny how my mom and my brother were nervous. They had shaky legs. Okay, good. Well, that was actually a lot of fun. I would say that was probably one of my favorite things of the whole trip. That stopping at the Penobscot Narrows Bridge. And you know, I would do it again. I would. And that's a good sign. And of course, there's also a Penobscot Narrows, I think it's a old fort there. So we stopped there, went and not examined, but, oh, it's Fort Knox is what it is. Fort Knox. We stopped there, kind of looked around there. Of course, seeing all these forts, I've done it before too with my family. It's fun to kind of look around and explore these. Okay, and then eventually we end up in Southwest Harbor. This is actually kind of where it gets like the Bar Harbor part of it. This is on Mount Desert Island, of course. And we stopped there. Well, not necessarily stopped, but this is kind of where we stayed. We stayed at Southwest Harbor. There's a place called Harbor Ridge Resort, so that was a good place to stay. It was good because we got a good family discount. And also, just a funny note, funny little side story about how we stayed in this Harbor Ridge Resort, and also, of course, there's like different rooms, blah, blah. I stayed with my brother. We don't normally sleep together. Here, we did sleep together. And so I farted in his face and then slapped him because he sat on my pillow. I don't even know. I'm just saying the story. Doesn't mean I'm like this anymore. There's a trail behind the resort too. We walked on that. It was down to a little village. I was a little nervous of a trail though because there's people out there that are kind of weird. And as I'm kind of talking here, I'm kind of like digging up old memories. It's kind of cool. So of course, there's a lot of things I did on the trip that I'm glad we did. But there's also things that I wish I did do. Right? I had it on my plans to go for a run in Bar Harbor, which I never did. You know, because I like running. But it didn't happen. And also, or go to Holy Mass, right? Of course it didn't happen either. Because I like to kind of like explore around with running and going to Mass, right? I think that was day one of the trip. And then we have day two, of course. Day two is a little bit different. But day two, we actually went and we did, so I had a note here. The comforter was hard and it was hard to sleep. Of course, whenever I'm on vacation, I don't sleep very well. So, but I would say overall, my overall opinion of the resort was good. I liked it. I never ended up going in the pool there or the hot tub. But we could have. There's an option of that. They don't actually provide breakfast. That's a thing you can know if you kind of want to go to this resort. They don't provide breakfast. You can look it up online. Whenever I go on vacation, I want to have like an enjoying theme. I want to enjoy it because I don't want to be stressed out, and I want to spend time off together with my family, right? And just off of kind of like work. In a little bit, I'll talk more about that. I was looking for a Richardson 112 trucker hat. I'm sure you've seen those hats, and I like kind of collecting them. I have a bunch over there on my wall. I didn't realize when recording, but this is the hat right here I got at Acadia National Park. We also got pizza in the Village Green at Bar Harbor, which was cool. Whenever we go on vacation, usually my dad is the map man, so he is going over the maps. Yeah, so day two started out with a nice start, kind of early in the morning, not early in the morning, but 11 o'clock in the morning. And we went to Flying Mountain Trail. It was a nice hike to the ocean. It was pretty arduous, actually. It was nice, but it was arduous. And then kind of continuing back, we went back to the trailhead. It was more flat and easy. I think we saw a bald eagle, yeah, flying or in the tree on Flying Mountain Trail. And of course, the ocean there. This is Valley Cove, the ocean we went to from that trail. And then also on day two, we went on another hike on the Cadillac Mountain. It wasn't a hike. Well, it was once we got up there. We did the driving tour. So drive up the mountain, which is really fun. But when we drove up the mountain and then we went and walked around on the rocks, which is actually kind of a cool sight to see because you can't tell where the ocean meets the sky. It's kind of a weird thing to think about. Like, golly, this is so great and beautiful. It's like you're on top of the world, it felt like. The last stop of the day on day two was to the Thunder Hole. If you haven't been there, you should. We didn't stay for the actual thunder of the hole, which is there's this big, massive explosion of water. I think we should have, maybe. It was not the right time. There are special times with like the tide, ocean tide and all this, when you should certainly get there. And now we're moving on to day 3. I'm going through a lot of stuff, so I might miss stuff. Throughout the whole trip, we did a lot of driving around. The whole island of Mount Desert Island feels bigger than you think when you're on it. Day 3 started off with a 12 o'clock, I think. 12:45-ish, 12:30 is what I'm seeing here on my notes. We went on a ferry tour. And this ferry tour included a ferry cruise on the Sea Princess. This was my favorite part of the whole trip, I'd say. Maybe I already said that, but the narrator on this ferry was actually funny and cool. I learned a lot. So it made me kind of realize that I actually kind of enjoy learning about this nature and this Maine coast type of stuff. Rocky Maine coast. This Bass Harbor Lighthouse. He was talking about the Cookie Dough Coast. I still remember it now because that means it has to have resonated to me. Bunker Ledge Monument, and of course there's seals on Bunker Ledge Monument. Jolly Cove, we went through that too. Soames Sound, and we saw almost a pirate ship. It's kind of like, oops, are there pirates? Who knows? Within the ferry tour, there was a 45-minute stop on Little Cranberry Island. We went into a little museum. I think we got a lobster roll sandwich, which was pretty good. Also on day 3, we had a little quick walkabout on Mount Desert Island in Northeast Harbor. And this is after the ferry, we kind of still feeling like the shaking of the waves. It's kind of a weird feeling. I'm sure you've had it before too when you get off a boat. It still feels like you're rocking around. We stopped somewhere. I don't know what the place was. We stopped and got, at least I did, and my brother, I think, we got little treats, donuts. I think I got a donut. Went around kind of Main Street here and C Street. I think the last part of the whole trip we did on kind of hiking. The main things we did on this trip, of course, you can tell, was hiking and exploring around. That's what kind of this vacation was. We didn't really kind of sit in a hotel. We didn't do that. But the last thing we did was stop at this place in Southwest Harbor for a little hike. But we didn't end up going for a hike. It was like 4:53, and this was the August 15th, the last day. We were going to stay on that Friday, the August 16th, but we didn't because other plans came up and we're like, we just kind of want to go home. I'm not a very good person at vacationing. Just to kind of reiterate, we stopped at Long Pond and we were going to walk Cold Brook Trail, but we didn't end up doing it because, of course, we had to get going. Overall, of course, I'll say I was going to rate this trip, and I'd say it was probably a 6, or I'm not going to say 7 because there's a weird thing around 7. I want to say 7, but I'm going to say it's an 8. I'm going to say it's an 8. I haven't really gone many places. I don't really vacation that much. Overall, it was good times. Overall, it was enjoyable. So now that all the kind of vacation storytelling is over, I'm going to kind of relate this back to the Nuggets Wisdom theme. So it was a good time to take for vacation, to rest and breathe, to actually relax, and where it was okay to kind of unplug, right? It was good to take a break from devices and spend more time with my family, because of course the internet wasn't the best. It's healthy, I feel like, sometimes. If you can easily get burnt out. Sometimes you have to kind of be okay with the fact that, okay, I'm just going to go on vacation, I'm going to chillax. I'm not saying every week you have to do this. Do it once a year is fine, twice a year. Just give yourself that time to actually kind of fully unplug and fully kind of recharge. Let yourself give in to that kind of not working space. I feel like I need this own advice for myself. Otherwise, I would just end up working all the time. Because I would consider myself a bit of a workaholic. And maybe you are too. So I'm just very excited and happy we went on this trip last year. And I've been to Acadia National Park and Mount Desert Island and Bar Harbor, that area, twice before for 2 summer trips in 2022 and 2024. This summer, we're going on vacation somewhere else. Of course, 2025. Tying it back, of course, just finishing up now. Give yourself time to actually breathe, to chillax, to have fun, to spend time with family, and to do what you like to do. So do that, and enjoy my audio over voice here. See you next episode, everybody.